Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to dive in and really talk about different forms of resources for you while you're starting on your healing journey and give you some ideas and different ways that you can help to educate yourself and expand your own knowledge in the situations that you are coming out of, still going through, or trying to heal from. And we all need a starting point, so that's what I'm hoping to give you today in this video. Hi, welcome back to my channel, Be the Light in Their Storm. This channel is based around helping parents to heal themselves so they can be more present for their children that are currently in the throes and struggles of co-parenting with a toxic parent on the other side of the equation. We're going to talk about different ways of healing. We're going to do some educating on different things regarding CPTSD, narcissistic abuse, all the different areas that kind of would be covered if you're sitting here listening to this channel and trying to figure out how to move forward. And we're also going to talk about ways to help parent your children from a more loving, present place and not from places of your own triggers and hurts. We're going to work on, I'm going to show you some ways to do some breathing techniques, some meditation techniques, different ways to help ground yourself. And we're also going to spend a lot of time talking through different emotions and feelings that are going to come up while you are on your healing journey and trying to rediscover who you are, like who the essence of you is, because it's been lost in the process. And so subscribe, don't forget, hit that button, send me some likes so you can get notifications when I post more videos, and let's dive into it. So today is about giving you some ideas and means to get resources. When I decided a little over 3 years ago that I needed to really start looking inward as to why I kept running into the same cycles in my life. I was 8 years out of my toxic marriage. I was still struggling to find a solid footing with co-parenting and parallel parenting, and just trying to feel like I had a sense of me in this chaos that was going on. My work life was really rocky and it was not a good situation, but I felt stuck because I was trying to take care of 3 children with no financial support from the other parents. And dating, I kept finding emotionally unavailable people. I kept finding more narcissists. I was just not getting anywhere. And I hit a point where I realized that I needed to start really looking at myself and things that I could change to make my situations better, because I felt like every aspect of my life was in a whirlwind and it was all about to come crashing down if I didn't do something to make it better. So I decided right then and there to start honestly accepting things that had happened to me, to start digging deeper, and to really start educating myself. So my first source of educating myself was books. Any topic that came up that I didn't know about, or for instance, emotionally unavailable. I knew it was a thing. I knew nothing about it. So I bought a book on it and I read it, and I took to heart and kind of tucked in my subconscious the things that resonated with me, and turn that light bulb on and be like, oh, you know what? I'm like that. Or, oh, that explains why so-and-so acted the way that they did. And it really helped to start open my eyes to, one, not being so alone in all this shit that I was going through, but to start to be able to connect the dots between what I was experiencing and why I was experiencing it, or things that could have happened that caused me to experience this. And so I purchased a lot of books in probably a 6-month time frame, and all I did was read. I read about narcissistic abuse, how to manage somebody that is NPD or sociopath, psychopath. They all kind of fall under the same personality type. So I did a lot of reading into the psychology behind why they are the way that they are, to try and understand how my ex functioned, to help me try and feel like I had some more footing and ways to try and co-parent. I read into parallel parenting. There's not a lot of books on that, so that was more probably through YouTube and internet, but I did pull some of four of my books that I read in the beginning that really helped me kind of open my eyes and awaken to things that I was going through and experiencing. So the first book for me is Jackson Mackenzie. It's called Psychopath Free. This one was a huge eye-opener for me. It honestly at times was like I was reading my own story about things that he experienced and the way he felt and things he was feeling and why he was feeling them. And so this was my, probably right out of the gate, I just admitted the fact that I was married to a narcissist, possibly a psychopath. And I allowed myself to educate myself on the things that really scared me, to admitting that I allowed myself to be in that type of relationship. The follow-up book to that really led me on my journey of really healing from the inside out and looking at meditation and your ego and ways to break down your ego that's in huge protection mode right now, and doing everything and anything it can to keep you from feeling anything, because you've been through so much in your life. You've been through trauma, you've been through abuse, and you're feeling all kinds of things, but you're really not feeling them. Your body is doing everything it can to keep you distracted. You probably have some negative coping skills that kind of help you numb it and manage through what you do feel. And so this book here, which is also Jackson Mackenzie, Whole Again, this one, again, huge eye-opener for me, and really was the start to my meditation journey and really diving inward. And it supports you into kind of how to get started and how to really start doing that and breaking down some of the walls and guards that you have up so you can tap in and really heal, all the stuff you have stored inside of you. The next book that I got was not so much for my own healing, but a way for me to try and understand and how to co-parent. And this one is called Raising Resilient Children with a Borderline or Narcissistic Parent. This has some great insights about stepping out of your own hurt and trying to see things from a different light, ways to help parent from a more level place. So this one had some really good insights as well. It was a great step. The last one for me it's a little more scientific, but a lot of my healing journey ended up being very somatic based. So it was a lot of nervous system regulating and releasing stuck energies that resulted in sometimes having no memory, cognitive memory, that actually went along with the emotions and the feelings that were coming up and that I was releasing. And, it's a lot of shaking and wanting to run and body wanting to move because it's trying to release all this stuck energy. So the next one for me was in an unspoken voice. And this one really talks about how, our body does store feelings and emotions and traumas that we don't allow ourselves to process. So when you're younger, if you have childhood trauma, which most of us probably do because we allowed these toxic partners into our lives, then, if you were, say, a child and you weren't allowed to have an opinion or speak your voice and you're always told to be quiet and you weren't allowed to cry or really show your emotions, anytime these emotions would come up, you would have to suppress them. And every time you would suppress these emotions, they are being stored in your body. They're being stored in your organs, your muscles, your nervous system, anywhere your body can kind of tuck them away. And then your ego builds walls around them, and your body uses energy to help keep those emotions stored. And then over the years, every time that specific emotion gets triggered, your body resorts back to this stuck feeling, and then it just adds it all too. And over time, your body just it can't store anymore. You have nowhere else to keep all these emotions bottled up, and they just kind of have to come out. So educating yourself through books, great way. There's tons of books out there. Amazon is a great source to kind of just Google something and see what comes up. You never know what's out there. All right, the next one is YouTube. You're here. So YouTube for me is great, especially if I was in the car. At one point in my job I was driving to the airport probably sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, depending on my boss's schedule. And so I had a lot of time in the car. So putting YouTube on in the car and listening to some of the stuff that would come up or I wanted more education on was a great way to also educate myself and help start healing. And again, anything that came up, if for instance today I had a lot of emotions come up around hating myself, and I had no idea where it was coming from or if that was even really a thing. Like, why do people hate themselves? And so I Googled it, and there's information out there. So between the internet and YouTube, there's a ton of resources. Just do your homework, especially if you're on the internet. Don't take the very first thing you read as being the Bible. Look around, check out some different sites, see what they're all saying, and then kind of piece together, from your own perspective, what resonates with you and what seems to be the running theme across all the sites. You don't want to assume the first thing you read is going to be the truth or necessarily give you all the information that you're looking for. So definitely do your homework and keep digging until you feel that you've kind of received the answers that you're looking for. So for YouTube, for me, 2 big ones that I listened to right out of the gate was Dr. Romney and Lisa Romano. They both deal a lot with narcissistic abuse, how to gray rock, parallel parent, and a lot of things just to help you kind of put that separation between you and your toxic ex that you may subconsciously be kind of aware of, but it's not in the forefront, and they help bring that kind of stuff to the forefront for you. So those were kind of my 2. Some other great ones are Mel Robbins is really good for kind of inspirational, moving past stuff like that as well. And just whatever speaks to you, whatever, Google the topic you're looking for. If it's parental alienation, then Google it and see what comes up and kind of flip through and allow your body and allow your intuition to start speaking to you and doing what it's here for, which is to guide you. And your body knows what it needs to do to heal, and it's going to help guide you in the direction that you need to go to get the healing that you need. So trust it. Next one is support groups. Some of you may not have the best support systems around you. If you do, be very grateful that you have those support systems, because it's a very lonely road trying to not only co-parent with someone that's toxic, but to then have the alienation on top of it, the continued abuse to both yourself and your children. And there's a lot of factors that continually swirl around in your life. So you want to have a support system. Coming into my healing journey, I had no support system. I still am trying to build my, external friend support system around me, but I do feel like I have a good support system through the Facebook groups that I'm on for topics like this. So again, you can do a search. There's, narcissistic recovery, there's co-parenting, there's parental alienation. Most of the groups are private. you can't, obviously guarantee that you're not going to end up with someone that's in there as a narcissist or psychopath or what have you. But it is a safe place. Most of them you can post anonymously. You don't even have to post. For me in the beginning, just scrolling and seeing other people's posts and knowing that I wasn't alone in some of the stuff I was going through was all I needed in the beginning. Because when you are going through and in the throes of parental alienation and trying to co-parent or parallel parent with someone that is completely not willing to be cooperative, it is it's hard to fathom some of the stuff that comes up and happens, and it's happening to you. So if you're struggling with like accepting the fact that this is your reality, seeing other people posting about things that you are experiencing gives you that sense of peace and support that you're not alone in what you're going through. And it's okay that you're not okay, because you've been through a lot, you're going through a lot, and it's things that eventually, maybe you will get comfortable posting, or if you need to vent, it's safe places that you can go and do this. And as you heal yourself, if there is someone in the group that is just there to try and push buttons, they're going to get weeded out, and you're not going to care, because you're going to realize their opinions and their input really doesn't matter to you. You don't know who this person is, and they don't know who you are. They're just doing what they do best, which is pushing buttons and trying to get you a rise out of you. So ignore them the best you can. Next, I have for a good source is a therapist. It took me a little over a year into my healing journey to get to the point where I was ready to actually start processing through a lot of what I had gone through, and to really bring someone into my inner world, inner circle. I was so closed off, and I was so afraid to let anybody in, out of fear of just being hurt again, that I didn't close everybody off. Nobody knew what was going on inside of me. Nobody knew the things that I was dealing with, because I didn't share it with anybody. So for me to get to the point where I was finally ready to really let a therapist in and start talking about the stuff that I was going through and had been through was a huge step for me. And I was scared shitless going into my first session to actually verbalize and admit that I needed this help. So finding a therapist and having someone to really help you talk through and work through the abuse side of it and the trauma side of it, and just having someone to be able to bounce some of that stuff off with is a great tool to have. A good source is psychologytoday.com. You can put in your area. You can select the type of therapist that you're looking for. So you definitely want to find someone that resonates and has experience with the areas that you are trying to heal. So for me, I wanted someone that had narcissistic abuse experience, emotional abuse experience, trauma experience. What was the other one? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Parental alienation experience. Another one could be complex PTSD. These are all things you want a therapist that is familiar with these, because if they're not familiar with parental alienation or narcissistic abuse, they're not necessarily going to be able to help you in the way that a therapist that has that experience can. So you want to be very selective, and you want to have a connection and feel safe with someone that you are going to use on this front, because you want to be able to feel that you can let your guards down and really be vulnerable to allow yourself to heal. So definitely do your research again. Check your insurance. Your insurance may offer free mental health. A lot of insurances are at this point adding it into their practice of what they cover. So do your research, but definitely having someone that you can help work through some of the trauma and emotional, physical things that you've been through is a great tool to have. The last source that I have is a coach or a guide, a life person, life coach person, someone kind of like me that can help kind of start piecing things together for you. As you heal yourself and emotions come up and you kind of release things, you can be left feeling with a void and not really sure knowing how to move forward or how to start changing the little things that come up. You'll become aware of thought patterns. You'll start becoming aware of things that you say and how it comes across negative. And for me, it was a very eye-opening when this stuff started to happen because everybody has narcissistic tendencies. Everybody does. And if you grow up in a household where it's abusive or there's a narcissist and then you marry into it, you are going to have survival mechanisms that you pick up, and they can come across as very narcissistic and self-centered. But that's not who you are. Those are your survival mechanisms because that's stuff that you needed to bring on and habitate in order to survive the circumstances that you were in. So it's when you start becoming aware of these, it can almost be eye-opening and scary, and you start to question, am I the person that has the issues in this? But if you're questioning yourself, you're not the person that has the issues. So I'll let that to rest to you for right now. Lay that to rest. So you want to just have someone that can really be there as a big support in rebuilding and rediscovering who you are. The therapist can, really help you work through the dark, deep traumas and hurt and abuse that you've gone through. But having someone else, a coach, that can help you on the rebuilding side and to help you really rediscover that light within you and how to let that start shining and growing and finding balance in your life and, parenting from a different perspective, and just someone that can help guide you along that path of the new you is a great tool to have. You want to have someone that's been there, experienced it, and can really offer you good insight into ways that you yourself can move forward and start to listen to your inner voice and be in touch with who you are and lead from that place versus leading from the place of your traumas and your hurt. So if you're interested in working with me as a coach, I am available. You can drop a message below. I will be adding a email link shortly down below too, which will take you to my website, which you can access and get information and get into my coaching program from there as well. So I really hope that this resource is a great start for you to your healing journey, and stay tuned. There's lots of good stuff coming. There's going to be educating on the different things. Like I said, I'm going to really help you start with your breath work and getting into meditating and starting to get more in touch with who you are while you start on your healing journey. So until next time, I appreciate all of you that are here. Infinite love and gratitude. Namaste.